We can all agree that diseases are terrifying. After all, there are some that are capable of making the entire world stay at home, or else you'd risk getting infected. And yes, coronavirus, we're looking at you. But today, we're going to take a look at diseases that are nothing short of unbelievable. They're the kind of diseases that fiction shows like The Walking Dead are based on. From walking corpse syndrome to alien hand syndrome, here are 10 diseases you won't believe exist. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell. We're regularly coming out with new videos and want you to be there for all of them. Now, on to the video. Number 10. Foreign accent syndrome. Can you imagine living your entire life talking with a southern accent and waking up one day talking with a French or Australian accent? One of the rarest conditions in the world, foreign accent syndrome, is a speech disorder that does the unimaginable to its sufferers. It causes them to speak in an entirely different accent, as if they were born with it. It doesn't just affect people who speak English. It practically can happen to anyone and changes the accent they speak with. So, what exactly can cause this bizarre condition? Well, it has been found that when the Broca's area of the brain, which is located in the front lobe of the dominant hemisphere and is responsible for speech production, is injured, the damage to it causes altered pitch and distorted speech patterns. There is a myriad of causes that lead to this condition, such as a traumatic brain injury, brain aneurysm, or psychological disorders. However, one of the most common causes is stroke, and it's said that foreign accent syndrome affects females more than males. Number 9. Water allergy. Water is the essence of life. There isn't a single creature on the planet that can survive very long without it. When it comes to human beings, 60% of our bodies are water, and vital organs like the brain, heart, and lungs are composed of 73% and 83% of water respectively. While it's safe to say that water is one of the many reasons that keep humans alive, it could also be the same reason that's killing them. And this is what exactly happens to people with water allergy, or, for a more scientific name, aquagenic urticaria. There are currently efforts made by researchers to find out exactly what's causing something as vital to humans as water to backfire and cause them an allergic reaction, but they still can't find an answer. The allergy affects 1 in every 230 million people, so in total, there are about 32 people around the world diagnosed with this rare condition. For the most part, its symptoms can be mild, and once a patient with the allergy is exposed to water, symptoms like skin reddening, a rash that appears on the neck, arm, and chest, lesions, and a burning sensation will start to develop. However, in more severe cases, people can experience difficulty swallowing, breathing, and wheezing. Number 8. Walking corpse. Cotard's delusion, also known as walking corpse syndrome, truly sounds like something out of an apocalyptic movie to the people who suffer from it. Upon hearing it, you might think the syndrome turns people into literal brain-eating zombies. However, the truth of the matter is, patients with this disorder do feel like they're dead or rotting away, but it's all in their head. People with Cotard's delusion have a strong sense of nihilism. They don't believe that there's anything in the world that has a real existence. Nothing in the world has a value, meaning, or purpose, and that belief even extends to their own existence. There have also been cases where they don't believe that a certain part of their body or an organ exists, as if they're empty from the inside. Number 7. Pseudobulbar Effect. If you've seen the 2019 box office hit Joker, then you might have somewhat of an idea of what pseudobulbar effect is. During many of the R-rated movie's scenes, the Joker is seen laughing uncontrollably to the point that he was almost crying with tears at moments that aren't exactly appropriate. While it's hard to believe that there's a condition that causes you to laugh uncontrollably, it actually exists, and this condition has been coined the Pseudobulbar Effect. It's a disorder that affects the nervous system that causes its sufferers to experience laughter or crying with no control whatsoever over them. They might suddenly burst into a fit of involuntary and exaggerated laughter in the middle of a funeral, for example. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, they might start crying for several minutes at a time, even if they're happy. Number 6. Pica. Born in France, Michel Lotito, or Monsieur Margentot, was an entertainer whose talent some might consider bizarre and downright revolting. The man had an appetite for things that aren't exactly nutritious, and by non-nutritive, we're talking about metal. And yes, you heard that right. Since his teenage years, Lotito found himself wanting to eat unusual objects. And on the flip side of the coin, he also found himself disgusted just at the thought of eating soft foods like fruits and eggs. So, what exactly caused him to have such an appetite? An appetite that led him to consume an entire airplane with no problem? As it turns out, Monsieur Margentot was diagnosed with pica from an early age, a psychological disorder that causes people to have an appetite for substances and objects that don't have any nutritional value. Some people get an appetite for biological things, such as hair or feces, while others find themselves wanting to eat chemicals, natural substances like ice or dirt, or, in the French entertainer's case, metal. Number 5. Stone Man Syndrome. To know that your body might one day turn into stone sounds terrifying. Unfortunately, this is the reality and the knowledge that people with Stone Man Syndrome have to live with every day. Fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, Stone Man Syndrome, or Munchmeyer disease is an extremely rare disease that affects about 1 in 2 million individuals. The disease is the result of a gene mutation that affects the body's repair system in an unimaginable way. It causes any injury or trauma to fibrous tissues, such as the muscles, tendons, and ligaments, to turn into solid bone. So, if a patient with Stone Man Syndrome ever pulls a muscle or tears a ligament, instead of their body repairing them, it turns any damaged fibrous tissue into bone instead. The worst thing is, it can also happen spontaneously without the occurrence of an injury. Given the fact that medicine has evolved beyond imagination and they've been able to find cures to diseases no one thought they'd ever cure, there must be something that doctors could do to help people with Stone Man Syndrome, right? Well, not exactly. Surgical attempts to remove the bone growth that replace the injured tissues have been done, but what happens is the body also repairs the area where the bone has been removed as it sees it as injured and grows a new bone. To this day, there isn't a cure for this disease, but what many people diagnosed with it is an attempt to find a comfortable position during a flap-up so their body would be ossified in that position and thus improving their quality of life. Number 4. Tree Man Syndrome. If you thought that the previous disease, Stone Man Syndrome, was unbelievable, well, there's another disease that's even stranger than the latter. Affecting around 200 cases around the world, Tree Man Syndrome, or its scientific name, epidermodysplasia verruciformis, is a hereditary skin disorder that causes the skin to grow tissue that resembles tree bark, hence the name of the disease. According to statistics, in 10% of the people with this condition, it was found that their parents were relatives or they were sharing the same ancestor. Both males and females can have this inherited condition, and it can appear by puberty, infancy, and even middle age. But in the majority of cases, it appears between the ages of 5 and 11 years old. The symptoms start as wart-like lesions that commonly cover parts of their bodies that are most exposed to the sun, like the hands, feet, earlobes, and face. As time goes on, these warts start to develop more and more, and they transform into tumors that resemble tree bark. Sadly, a cure or even a treatment for this devastating disease hasn't been found yet. One notable case that suffers from tree man syndrome is Abdul Banjandar from Bangladesh. After getting diagnosed with the disease, a medical board was formed to treat him, but it was to no avail. He underwent more than 25 surgeries to remove almost 11 pounds of the bark-like tumors from his hands, legs, and feet. He later relapsed, and his growths got even longer and more severe than before the surgeries. Number 3. Werewolf Syndrome. With the first ever reported case dating back to the 17th century of the Gonsalves family, where 2 daughters, a son, and a grandchild all had it, the werewolf syndrome is a disease described by the abnormal growth of hair all over the body. The disease has several types. One causes the hair to appear all over the body, while the localized type causes it to appear in certain areas. It can develop at either birth or later on in the years, and it's still not that understood. There are theories that it's caused by the constant reactivation of genes that cause hair growth. Thus, the hair follicles continue to grow until the person is covered in long hair. Due to the ostracization that people with werewolf syndrome receive from society and everyone around them, many people with this disease often work as circus performers. Number 2. Dancing Plague. Perhaps one of the most intriguing and unbelievable diseases to ever exist, the dancing plague or mania is a disease that has happened multiple times throughout history, and it's exactly what you think it is. People with this disease dance until they literally collapse from dancing too much. Take the dancing plague of 1518 as an example. It took place in Strasbourg, which is in modern-day France, and it all started when a woman started dancing uncontrollably in the streets. No one knew why she was dancing, and soon enough, everyone around the neighborhood joined her. The dancing didn't die down for a long time, and it's believed that many people died as a result of heat stroke or exhaustion. Luckily, the disease hasn't appeared again since the mid-17th century. Number 1. Alien Hand Syndrome. Can you imagine having a limb that has a mind of its own? By saying a mind of its own, we really mean it. The limbs move on their own, doing whatever it wants without any control whatsoever from the person themselves. Well, this is exactly the everyday life of people with alien hand syndrome. People with the syndrome don't usually notice that they have it until they notice that their hand is doing something that draws their attention, like reaching for an object or throwing it without being able to control it. Strangely enough, it can get to the point where people have to physically restrain themselves in order to live normally. These are the most unbelievable diseases we have for you today. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Also, before you leave, make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and click on the notification bell below to be notified whenever we upload new videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.